First play of the game, we're going blind pig.
We're going to go blind pig.
Blind pig, yeah.
So I'm also a big fan of the blind pig action.
The only reason we're running this action now is because he wanted to say blind pig and look cool.
Hey guys, what's happening? And welcome back to the Blind Pig podcast. We have had 4 awesome games of opening week Super League basketball action. And we've had it all from overtime comeback victories to definitive underdog wins. It feels genuinely so good to be back. I'm pumped to overreact to all of the 8 teams that competed this weekend. And despite some last minute setbacks from the BBF, ultimately SLB came out victorious and kicked off season 2. But before we get into it, as a channel, we have just set a huge new goal. We're now shooting for the moon. We're aiming to get 500 subs by the end of the year. And that only happens if you guys make it happen. So smash the like button, hit subscribe, and let's make this a reality. Okay, before we get down into the actual games themselves, let's just talk overall about my thoughts. Firstly, just pure joy. You know, the vibes that came back from, the crowd, the pop on the telly. It is just awesome to have Super League basketball back. Loving that we're on DAZN and seeing every game for free. That's an A triple plus for me. And despite actually some of the teams not being together too long, actually it didn't feel half-assed at all. Players were playing hard and you could start to see the individual style of the teams really starting to emerge. I really thought commentary was solid. In most games, you really got a good feel for what was happening in the action. I really love the step in particular that Bristol and Manchester are doing in bringing in their kind of colour commentary a little bit more. And, really quickly, I hate to talk about it, but we have to talk, obviously, about the refs. Before the season kicks off, there was that question hanging around everyone's head just asking, are we going to have referees for the game? Now, obviously, this all stems from an incident that happened last year. Midway through the season, the league chair made comments about Eddie Dansky's refereeing, essentially calling him biased and saying that he was making racially motivated calls. At the time for Super League basketball, this led to a standoff, and ultimately cooler heads prevailed once Vaughan Millett stepped down as chair, had apologised and agreed to do some EDI training. This time round, though, the dispute was between the BBF and the SLB and around the unsanctioned nature of the league. So because the league is technically out of the BBF's purview, it's an unsanctioned league, we can confirm here that we've spoken directly to referees who are being warned off reffing SLB games. From their side, referees, they're nervous about refereeing what is deemed an unsanctioned league, as potentially it could impact their standing in other FIBA games and the opportunities to do international games. What that ultimately led to, though, was actually more inexperienced refs stepping up and doing the SLB games. And you know what? Overall, great flipping job. For the most part, I didn't notice them, which actually means they were doing a really great job. In Manchester, I thought there were a couple of times they were a little bit overzealous, potentially on the charge calls. But, at least they were consistent. I think that's the main thing. If you're going to call it one way in the game, let's call it the whole way. And across the league, there was probably some ticky-tacky stuff that didn't get called, that could have got called. But actually, overall, I thought the refs did a phenomenal job. I also just want to say, just from a personal level, I think it is the height of ridiculousness that the most experienced and the quote-unquote best referees in our game are not reffing at our top level in Super League basketball. Absolutely bonkers that Eddie Dansky, instead of being an SLB game, was reffing down for the Hemel Storm this weekend. Makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes and start to overreact for all 8 SLB teams and their first game this season. Starting with the overreaction in the people's capital, Manchester. It's only one game, but Manchester basketball has captured the hearts of fans everywhere. Everything that could go right on opening night did go right. That's even down to watching the hometown hero, Kayam Cleary, who was absolutely awesome and he balled out. Manchester basketball opened up the game super, super hot behind some fantastic shooting and even the inside presence of Matt Nichols. And they found themselves out to an early and a really sizable lead. From the Cheshire side, when it hit 37-18 midway through the second quarter, that's when I started getting really nervous and actually wondering if their defence was just kind of as porous as it always has been and it always looked. But you know what? Credit to the Cheshire Phoenix, to Ben Thomas, and especially credit to Skylar White. He looked mean, he looked focused, and he shot the damn ball. He hit 3 triples in the space of a minute and a half, and really started to pull them back. From a Cheshire side, I was massively interested to see their guard rotation. Everyone was making a huge deal, including me, about the return of LaQuincy Rideau. But it was obvious in this game that Pat Robinson is coming for that starting job. Just look at the minute distribution. In this game, LaQuincy Rideau only played 13 minutes compared to Pat's 30. LaQuincy admittedly committed a hell of a lot of offensive fouls, but ultimately that gave Pat the platform to be absolutely huge. He was great going downhill, he looked really, really smooth, and he looked massively quick defensively. I was really pleasantly surprised by Pat Robinson. On the flip side, Manchester was going blow for blow. They shot 40% from three-point range in this game, so going 10 from 25. And Max Jones went on a real heater at one point to kind of make that happen. We did see for Manchester some of the drawbacks of Matt Nicholson. When Cheshire really went 5 out and spread the floor, particularly when he was guarding Skylar White, you could really see him struggling on kind of that hard hedge part of the pick and roll coverage. And I think it's something that as we get further into the season that teams are going to exploit even more often, really trying to make him play outside and being a bit nimble. Jackson Brenchley for the Cheshire Phoenix also looked great attacking the paint. And you know what? He has got the best hair in the league. Absolutely flowing. In the fourth quarter, it was Cheshire who took a 78-77 lead behind a Pat Robinson layup. But at that point, it was all Kyan Cleary and the hometown hero. He hit the and one, he hit a three, he hit a midi, game over. Honestly, I was chuffed for Manchester. This was a great start to their season. The pictures of the crowd were immense, and I'm really, really hoping it holds up for the rest of the season and they're able to get out the same sort of crowd and the same sort of atmosphere. On the other side, it's just one game, but Cheshire are looking more dangerous than most people, including me, gave them credit for. I think they have a real opportunity this season to be a real player and to really fight for some silverware this time around. Moving on to the London-Leicester game. It's just one game, but London already look like they're coasting. Genuinely, for me watching this game, at no point did it ever look like London were in trouble. From the first tip, even to when Leicester got it kind of close, I never doubted that London had both the talent and the ability to pull away whenever they wanted. Joel Scott, he looks huge, he plays huge. The whole game, he was swinging his dick around like he's the man. And you know what? He took over with awesome play inside. And they needed him. I think, actually, they distributed the minutes really nicely as a team, but really brought Joel Scott on when they needed to score points and to really show that domination that they had. I also like how they distributed, though, with the other bigs around the minutes. Kieran Sandy has leveled up this summer. When he came into the game, I think he really changed it in the sense of his intensity that he brought to the game, and he came in with an intent to score. I think all the other times I've seen him play, he's always looked kind of passive, he's maybe not looking for his shots, but I absolutely loved what I saw against Leicester, where he was really going after it, being aggressive, and being huge defensively as well. For London, one of the players that kind of surprised and a little bit disappointed me was Cameron McGusty. For a lot of pundits out there, he's being branded as the early season MVP. And actually, against the Zalgiris friendly a few days ago, he looked really, really good. But against Leicester, he just looked kind of average. I'm going to need to see more from him Tuesday night against Cheshire. He's clearly got scoring ability. He can clearly make an impact. We didn't see that this time round. We need to see more from him. Overall, London won because they dominated the boards, both defensively and offensively. If you're Leicester, there's no way that Spencer Johnson can be your leading rebounder. Overall as a team, they lost the rebounding battle 29-40. On the Leicester side, Travis Evie looked good. He exploited when they lost him on the screens, and he threw up some really nice shots. We have to call out the absolute bullshit three they threw up. No idea how that one went in. But he played really nice. He looks like he's going to be a really good piece and a central piece for the Leicester offence moving forwards. Interesting rotation too. Flynn Boardman-Raffett, so he was a -7 in the box score. But actually, for me, the minutes that he played, I thought he shot the ball well and he didn't give up much defensively, which was everyone's knock against him. The only other part that stuck out was 7 minutes for Victor Nduku is absolutely wild. At the tail end of last season, he was really flourishing. There was a bit more trust from the coach, and he was doing really, really well. To see that drop down to 7 minutes this season, I personally would have loved to seen him get a little bit more run. It's only one game for Leicester, but already they might need another import. To me, they looked much less together and much less cohesive than what the final score of 72-79 really felt. And fellas, let's make some free throws. We can't leave 10 free throws on the line and shoot under 65%. It just can't happen if we want to be a winning team. And then we come to the blowout victory of the Bristol Flyers over the Sheffield Sharks. It's just one game, but the Bristol Flyers look like prime Golden State Warriors. And I want to start off by talking about ISO Joe Anderson. Sir, I apologise. I was not familiar with your game. Smooth like butter, spicy like jalapeno. Give me more Joe Anderson in my life. The first couple of threes he looked was so naughty. But also, his type of game is exactly what Bristol needed. Now, if you look at the box score, you might go, Joe, flippin' heck. He went 4 from 11 from deep. What are you chatting about? Well, forget the box scores. He was freaking awesome. He was great. I loved watching him. And speaking of shooters, we also have to talk about Mr. Zachary Anderson. He was just as nice, really hot, and had a really good inside game as well. I actually thought on that night he was way too much for Jordan Ratinho and Sheffield to guard, and burned him quite a lot, to be honest. Even when he didn't score or finish or was just making a cut into the lane, he was playing really well and making movement and space for the other Flyers players. For Sheffield, it's just one game, but get the women and children out. The house is on fire.
Morning Star. Oh no! They're coming in through the back door! Oh no! Oh no! Grab the children! Save the children!
5, 4. Have a great broadcast.
The Sharks legitimately stank in this game. And that sucks as a fan to say, but we stunk. In the first quarter, I felt relatively confident. Even when we were down, the team put together a really nice run, and it was stamped obviously by that William Lee alley-oop off the glass, which was absolutely sick. But we can't really celebrate that when we lost the third quarter 23-6. Honestly, where's the heart? Where's the passion? Sheffield did win the fourth quarter, but that's only because the game was over at that point. I thought a couple of their players showed flashes. I really liked Dirk Williams' scoring. He went on a nice little run all by himself. But we're going to need to see that within the flow of the team. And I thought William Lee was great. Great on the boards, great defensively. And I thought he hit the shots that you expected William Lee to hit. Tweet of the night has to go to Matt from British Basketball Daily, who called Rodney Chapman a Dorito. And do you know what? It's true. I see it. Rodney Chapman, it was great to see him out there. He looked like someone who hadn't played basketball in the last sort of 9 months. Kind of what you'd expect. Very rusty. Really hoping he can get back into some of that form that he was in kind of December last year. For the other players on the Sharks, we've got to ask questions about Mike Ocherobia. He is a giant man. He played 15 minutes and didn't grab 1 rebound. Jalen Deloach, I thought he played well. The scouting report, though, brother, is on you. When you have the ball at the top of the key, you want to try and throw a pass to the backdoor cutter. But when they get picked off twice in a row, don't throw the third time. Okay? Once, twice, not 3. You can't throw that pass over. The scouting report is out. People are looking for you, man. Yeah, stop throwing it. Please. For Bristol, they should be really excited. It's a nice, great core of fun, young, exciting players who are playing up tempo. The SGS campus was going wild. Love to see it. Really exciting for them. Sky is the limit for the Flyers. And now the Sunday game. It's just one game, but that was the best damn gladiator basketball game I've watched in over a year. And they single-handedly restored pride to Scotland. Honestly, for this matchup against the Newcastle Eagles, the Caledonia Gladiators were my official pick. And I was never more confident than in the first and second quarter of the game. Genuinely, I thought the Glads looked totally unrecognisable. Coach Bunyan has really got this team playing together. Ethan Wright has to be an absolute revelation. And if you're Leicester, you've got to be wondering, how do we let this guy slip through our hands? Ethan Wright hit timely shots, he had an amazing layup package, and he really opened things up for his teammates. I really loved the look of Ragsdale. He looked really, really good, really, really confident. And as the season goes on, I'm already expecting him to eat up more of Toto Fagbenle and Fraser Malcolm's minutes. In the SLB, I think he could be a really quality 2-3. I think he can even defend the 3. Even at his size at kind of 6'4", I think he's really strong and versatile. Although if Toto keeps hitting threes at this rate, 100% from three-point land, it might be hard to take him off the court. You got to reward him for the hard work over the summer. Way to prove people wrong in game number 1, going 2 for 2 from three-point lands. And finally for the Glads, Kevin Allen. Now, I'm not sure if Tree Trunk Thunder is going to work against every team in the league, but he damn sure worked against Newcastle. He's got a lovely old school back to the basket game, and it really helped settle the team at points when there were moments where they knew they had to get something into it. They got into their set, they gave it to him down on the block and let him go to work. The Glads were up pretty early, and it was a tightly contested game at the half. But for Newcastle, it was recently signed Maceo Jack, who was really aggressive offensively in the second half. Now, side note, Maceo Jack just signed this week after it was announced that Caleb Huffman got released and moved on from the Newcastle Eagles. How Maceo Jack didn't end up back with Cheshire and a reunion there, I do not know. But for Newcastle, he played extremely, extremely well. Rayshon Taylor as well, 4 offensive rebounds throughout the game, which were huge, and he has a lovely turnaround over his shoulder hook shot, which was really, really big in some key moments. With 6 seconds left in the game, it was 94-94, and Maceo Jack had a chance to win it from the line. However, during squeaky bum time, Maceo flaked out and missed them both. Running the other way was Ryan Holland, who missed the layup, and Kevin Allen may or may not have been fouled trying to get the putback in. However, in overtime, I think it was Newcastle's leadership, particularly through the coach Mark Stuttle and the leadership on the floor of Josh Ward-Hibbert, that really sealed the game. The critical moment came as Newcastle led 102-100, and Josh Ward-Hibbert, running down the lane, had a beautiful little running floater hook shot layup off the glass that really just sealed everything. It's just one game, but I think if you're Newcastle, you need to pull it together quick. They're competing, in my mind, with Caledonia for potentially the 9th spot or the 8th spot, however you want to say it. And so as a team, they need to work fast to avoid being in that final position in Super League basketball. Overall, I am pumped. What an amazing weekend of Super League basketball it's been, and what an amazing week it's going to be for the channel, coming up with a huge week of content. Nobody wants to watch the game alone, so tomorrow I'll be live streaming and doing a watch-along for the Cheshire Knicks London Lions game. On Wednesday, we're going to drop our podcast all around NBA Europe, what it means for Super League basketball, and of course, rating teams' new SLB jerseys. And on Friday, there'll be a secret episode that will drop. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell to make sure you are the first one to know when it goes live. But for me, that's been a quick banger, recapping the first weekend of Super League basketball. Catch you in the next one, guys.
First play of the game, we're going blind pig.
We're going to go blind pig.
Blind pig, yeah. So I'm also a big fan of the blind pig action.
The only reason we're running this action now is because we wanted to say blind pig and look cool.